I'm Hobbs, and you're watching the Underground Bunker on Bloodrock Media.
I won't ask for much this Christmas. I don't even wish for snow. Just want a Jew who runs show business. Spielberg, Stiller, Ari Gold. I will make a list and send it of my choices for St. Nick.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Underground Bunker. I'm your host, Hobbs. This is a special holiday episode, and I'm not really entirely sure how it's going to go because I'm just kind of letting it fly. So, yeah, you guys know what this is. This is a weekly web series where I showcase unsigned underground bands that I think you should be paying attention to because they've got that certain je ne sais quoi that, no, I was going to go into Empire Records from that one. You know how this goes? I cover everything from pop rock to death metal because we all need to be listening to more types of music, and that is a definite. And with that said, there's really nothing else to do, but let's have a fucking show. First band I'm going to talk about today is a band that I played with a very, very long time ago. I think it was like 2004 at a tiny little place called the Rock Shop right before it burned down. They're an industrial band out of LA called SocietyOne. Now these guys are a four-piece industrial metal group out of LA. I don't know if I can safely categorize them as that because, you know, even though a band will choose its own label, and that's fine, but I don't think the modern definition of an industrial fits what it truly is. And that's just my personal opinion. Now, everybody's got their own, but I don't think these guys fit comfortably into industrial, certainly not anymore. Because, you know, when I think industrial, I'm a purist. When I think industrial, I think Nine Inch Nails, I think Tool, I think stuff like that. And personally, I think SocietyOne fit very comfortably into the just, you know, hardcore kind of the veritable definition of nu metal, alongside bands like Dope, which I also don't think are industrial. Very cool band. I had the pleasure of playing with them a long time ago, as I said before, and these guys, you get this stigma about bands from LA, and some of it is very true. The bands from LA tend to be a little bit more into themselves, and that's as true with bands like Gemini Syndrome as it is with In This Moment. Now, that said, SocietyOne are not like that at all. Their singer, Matt Zane, who I have talked to off and on over the course of years, ever since I played with him, is a very cool guy. This is an actor, producer, director, documentarian. The guy's done like spoken word stuff, and he's just a very cool guy. And to his own credit, he got out of the tour scene of his own volition. You know, they toured a lot. They played some seriously interesting festivals like this one, which was Download, where he broke several records by suspending himself for over an hour during the entire set. The entire set, this guy hung in the air, which is fucking cool. But they don't tour anymore, and that is of their own volition. And I understand that. You know, times are what they are, and everything's just tougher these days. You know, it's very tough for bands to maintain themselves while they're on the road. And so this guy still does SocietyOne, which is great. And on the side, he does like directing videos and things like that, which is also fucking awesome. Now, these guys have released 4 studio albums, 1 live album, and 1 compilation album, pretty much on their own. I mean, they've had some label support, but nothing like a huge record label. I mean, A-Rake and a couple of smaller labels, and that's, you know, that's what they do. So, you know, and they've done okay with that. Now, their current album is called Rise from the Dead. It came out about a year ago, I think it was, and I have it on good account that they're working on a new one called Black Level 6. It'll be out sometime next year. But in the meantime, you can check out their brand new video, which is the song that you're listening to. I highly recommend that you do, and check them out on SocietyOneBand.com.
Cheap lying, no good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life snake.
The next band I'm going to talk about is a band that I wouldn't necessarily like right off the bat, except for the fact that I will listen to just about any band that takes a whack at God. These guys are called Buried Above Ground. Says it all right there. Any band that takes a whack at God is a band I'm going to listen to right off the bat. Oh God, I can't believe I just did that. They're a deathcore band, so automatically it's tough for me to be like, oh, I'm going to fucking listen to that. Because in my mind, most deathcore bands, grindcore, porno grind, all that stuff, sounds the same. And it's as true with that as it is for, like, you know, pop rock stuff these days, because it's very difficult for bands like of the pop rock genre or the very low singing genres to actually stand out, because you have a voice that's singing on such a low tone that it's going to be difficult to discern what they're singing to begin with. And when you have several people doing that exact same thing, it's going to be difficult to stand out. That said, I immediately liked this band because they've got sort of a doomy feel about them, where most deathcore bands and grindcore and blah, 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 blah bands will just sort of, you know, go hard and gent, and that's pretty much it. These guys don't do that. They have sort of an eerie feel to them, and I immediately gravitate towards that kind of thing because it adds a theatrical note to it. And you can immediately put that on with these guys because they kind of put that in their show, which is really cool. And yeah, I don't know if this is a good thing considering that it's sort of a staple of the genre, but they do remind me a bit of Meshuggah, but also a little bit of like All That Remains, and I don't know why, but it does. And I love All That Remains, and I love Meshuggah. And although I understand that Meshuggah is kind of like a staple of the genre, there are very few bands that can really do that justice, and these guys are one of them. All that aside, there's very little about these guys on the internet, and I really wish there was more. All I really know is that they have an EP which is called Birth, and from what I've heard of it, it's really fucking good, which is saying something in my account. Now, they haven't done like a real tour yet, but they have done several dates with a band called Born of Osiris, which you might have heard of. And they are gearing up for some shows next month. I wish I'd gotten more information from them, but I don't have that. So, yeah. I highly recommend that you check these guys out on their Facebook, and you can also get their music pretty much everywhere else you can find it. So check them out. Quite simply, the next band I'm going to talk about are just a really cool band that I found a couple of months ago, and they are called To Whom It May. Now, a three-piece prog rock band. There's something you do not hear much of these days, because these days, whenever you hear prog rock, you hear 9 members, you know, this, that, and the other thing, and look, we have a broom with some frickin' guitar strings on it. This is not that. These are 3 guys who put what they want on stage, and they don't really overdo it. Yeah, there's some, you know, backing stuff and things like that, but they're not putting all those people on the stage to prove how much they can shoehorn into a stage performance. That's 3 guys rocking it out with some prog style. So it's like, think Chevelle that are good, because I can't stand fucking Chevelle. So yeah, they're a 3-piece prog rock band, if we can comfortably call them that, because I'm not entirely sure I can. That said, I mean, they do definitely have their prog sensibility about them, which is cool. But they're also easily listenable, which is very cool itself, because when you think of the mainstays in the prog rock area, you know, you've got Tool, and you've got Dream Theater, and you've got a whole bunch of other bands that just sort of go off on these mathematical tangents that it might be a little bit difficult to listen to. I love Lateralis, but that is not for this, you know, the standard fan to be listening to. Anyway, they got their start in 2014 in Galveston, Texas, and in that time they've managed to do okay for themselves, despite not having the best solid fan base in the world. I think they've got about a little over 4,000 likes on their Facebook, That said, they've still managed to take several jaunts out of their fenced-in area, including some stuff into Louisiana, which even in Texas, though being right next door, is still probably about a 10-hour trip for them, which is cool. Now, when you say prog rock, you definitely get into your head a certain sound image. And while these guys do have a very listenable sound, it does have that Tool and, in my mind, sort of a 3 a.m. project feel to it, because, you know, despite all the beard that's in the band, they got that sort of just a little bit of a, you know, minor tuned kind of thing, and I really, really dig it. Now, I love the music that can be both prog and listenable, and the cool thing about stuff like this is it opens the space up, because the second you add keys and stuff to it, and these, you know, not chugging riffs, and even though it's like, you know, might go off on some tangents a little bit, you've got straight line driving rock that opens up the environment, and I fucking love that, because to my mind, you know, you've got bands like Starset that open up the skies with rock, and I just don't think there's enough of that. So these guys adding to the fold is a good thing for the rock scene. Now, they are currently supporting a self-titled EP. I highly recommend that you pick it up, because the whole I got it off Bandcamp, and it's fucking awesome. So yeah, that said, pick it up, check them out on Facebook, all that good stuff. To whom it may.
It's beginning to look a lot like fuck this.
This next bunch of starstruck bozos are a band that I had the pleasure of watching a couple years ago while they were on tour with Dead Horse Trauma and Straight Line Stitch. They are a band called Kage 9. Now, these guys are a 4-piece hard rock band out of LA, formerly of Panama City, Panama, and they got their start way the fuck back in 1993. And given that timeline, it's insane to believe that in the advent of information, the way we have it in the internet, that these guys have so few likes on their Facebook. And I hate using the Facebook standard, but that's the standard, am I right? Okay. They've been around for this long, and they are such an amazing band. I've seen them live, and I watched these guys open up for Straight Line Stitch a few years ago, and to my mind, they fucking wiped the floor with them. I love Alexis as a singer, but Evan Rodenish has one of the cooler, distinctive voices I've heard in a while. And when you add the rest of his band to it, you've got this kind of hard rock band that almost sounds like Dragon Force to me, which is really fucking cool. I love Dragon Force, and for a band that isn't doing the high intensity guitar solos that Dragon Force will do, these guys fucking bring it. And their guitar player, Matt Burkowski, is one of the most animated guitar players I've ever fucking seen in my life. Amazing to see live. I actually shot photos of that show, and the best pictures I got were of him, hands down. You can't really quite see it on such a low quality video, but these guys do add some image to their show, which I think says a lot about a band. I think that bands who dress up for the gear are too few and far between. I think if you're going to be in a band, you can't do the, you know, I just woke up, threw on a sleeveless shirt, and got on stage thing, unless you're a Pantera tribute band, because yes, it's a fun thing to do, but it's a job. And even if you're not getting paid, it's still a job. And how you dress and how you put yourself out there on stage says a lot about how you want your fans to take you and how seriously you want them to take you. So for a band that dresses up and gets on the gig and, you know, fucking throws down, it says a lot to me, because it says you want me to be paying attention to you. And I'll fucking do that from here to fucking breakfast. They added this image to them, which is a little bit of makeup, some hair, and that's great, but they don't overdo it. It's just enough to say, look, here we are, we look this way, and we fucking will bring it. And I like that kind of, it says volumes to me. Now, they're signed to EMP Records. Their most current album is called Illuminator. It was released in 2016, I know they're working on a new one right now. I'm not entirely sure what it's called, but you will definitely be able to check it out when it is out. For now, you can catch it on Spotify, iTunes, Google, blah, 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 blah. Do check out their Facebook and check out their .com, which is Kage9.com.
Santa Claus isn't real. He is just a fairy tale that you're...
And the last band, I think, is the very first thrash metal band that I've talked about since we started this show. And I don't know why I waited so long, except to say that these guys are called Bray Road. Now, I've actually been waiting to talk about these guys for quite a while. One of the reasons why I don't put a whole lot of Milwaukee bands on, at least in quick succession, is because I don't want anybody to think that I play favorites to my own scene. For one thing, there's a lot of crap here, and I'll be fucking honest about it. There's a lot of crap in the Wisconsin music scene. That said, there's also quite a lot of good, and Bray Road happens to be one of those bands. They are... quite honestly, they are overlooked in the Wisconsin scene because they're just a cool band. And these days, I think people are too of the mindset that if you're not talking shit about somebody, you're not cool enough to pay attention to in the eyes of the music scene, of the underground music scene, which is kind of sad because Bray Road are some of the nicest guys I know in Wisconsin. And they get very little credit for doing what they do. They're damn good at it, but they get very little credit for it because they don't talk shit about anybody. And that's just my opinion, because they've been doing this fucking stuff since the early 2000s, maybe longer than that. And they're still not getting the credit I think that they are due, because these guys bring it. Understandably, though, times being as tough as they are, they haven't done any touring. Now, that said, they have played pretty much every fucking place you can name in the region. I just wish that they had the opportunities that some bands have had in order to get out and jump the fence a little bit and go have some fun somewhere else. There's a couple of Milwaukee bands that get out and do the thing, and that's great. I just wish that these guys had that kind of chance. Especially given their sound, which to me is a decent mix of bands like Slayer and Hatebreed, driving metal force behind it, some good soloing and great drumming, and then you've got Craig's fucking awesome ass vocals. They're currently working on a brand new EP. I know they're in the studio like right now, but their current album, which I actually did the album art for, is called Feast Upon the Helpless. And you can get it on their .com. You can get it on Spotify. Blah, 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 blah. Check them out. They're called Bray Road.
Silent night, silent night, I will come. Silent night.
That's all the time we've got on this episode of The Underground Bunker. I invite you once again to like and subscribe. You guys know how YouTube works by now. Also, check out all the links down below, the band links, the Spotify, which grows every week, people. Check out the Spotify. The band links, the Twitters, the Facebooks, all that good stuff. Check it out. And if you have 54 minutes or so, check out my personal project, which is called The Toxic Dream. It's a story-based metal thing that I think you'd like. I'm going to leave you with this remark, and it's going to be quite simple because I know you guys have turkey and stuff to eat. Enjoy your holidays, but right after you're done, you have fucking homework to do, and that is to get the fuck out to shows and have some fucking fun. Do it safely, do it responsibly, and please be alive after the new year. I'm Hobbs. I'm fucking out of here.